first step is we have to enact guidelines and criteria, and the county has to elect to declare themselves eligible. You can't do anything else until you've taken those steps. And then past that, there's an application request from Black and Gold BES. After the public hearing, if the county decides to move forward with that, the county would sign that resolution and then establish a reinvestment zone. But the big thing is none of this means the company's getting the payment. This just means the county's gonna consider what this could look like, taking next steps with them. So it's very preliminary. You establish the guidelines, and that can apply to anybody that wants to apply for an abatement. It doesn't have to just be renewable energy. It can be a hotel or an office building. Somebody else wanted to move into Menard County. This allows y'all to grant them, or consider granting them an abatement. It just so happens to be that this has been brought up by this application from RES. Real simple process, happy to answer any questions, but that's really what we're here to do today is take a next step with the company. Nothing's binding. Y'all can accept the application. You can set up the investment zone, and then tomorrow we'll say, deal's off, we're not gonna grant you an abatement. That's entirely within y'all's rights.
And so this would allow us to begin, I guess, preliminary discussions as to see if it would be something that would be beneficial to the county.
It would. This is kind of the next step. You can't really have any major formal discussions with the company on terms of what the abatement could look like. You know, you can have conversations with them on what the project looks like, what they're anticipating, things to do with the application, but the actual heart of the abatement can't happen until you've taken that next step with them, which is approving an application and establishing a reinvestment zone.
And I guess the policy that enables all this was based on something the court had done previously, correct?
That's right. Y'all previously had guidelines and criteria. I think Menard County has granted abatements in the past. It's been a while. So with those guidelines, they were out of date, probably no longer consistent with state law because they were so old. So this is not something new. This is the first time y'all are doing it. It's just first time y'all done it in a while.
Commissioners, anybody have any questions for Mr. Letterly at this point?
Not yet, no.
Okay. All right, thank you, sir. We appreciate you kind of setting.
Law firm Scott Douglas McConaughey here on behalf of a number of concerned citizens. I guess first off, I would agree with the attorney that just spoke that there's, at least based on my research, there's no guidelines and criteria here that have been passed, so I think any sort of action on the abatement at this time would be improper, would be procedurally ineffective. Secondarily, I would say that I would object to any sort of action being taken on the BES or any, the abatement zone, I guess, is because there was a failure of notice. There was no due process really here regarding the notice. There was an ad in the paper. It didn't say who the applicant was. It didn't say who the beneficiary was. We're talking about a barbecue joint. Are we talking about a strip club? Who knows? I mean, I think we're talking about the BES. But again, that wasn't provided to the public, so they're not out here. They may not be here being able to speak their minds as they should be able to. I'm interested to hear about the statutory findings required under Chapter 312, see what occurs there, and whether those findings can and will be made. And additionally, I would ask if there is going to be an abatement, if the reinvestment zone is passed, that we see some sort of fiscal impact policy, some sort of study done to see what kind of impact it will have on Menard County and what those the findings for the reinvestment zone are. You know, under Chapter 312, there is a requirement that the designation would contribute to the retention or expansion of primary employment or would attract major investment in the zone that would be a benefit to the property to be included in the zone. It would contribute to the economic development of the county. So I think the citizens of the county, the people that I represent, would really want to see what kind of impact for the county, what are we going to see? What are they going to be bringing to the table? How's it going to impact from both a tax standpoint and from an employment standpoint? And so, at a minimum, to the extent you are looking to take action on the abatement, again, I think it's premature based on the guidelines and criteria that, at least based on my research, aren't in place. From what I heard earlier, it doesn't sound like they're in place. And so, we'd ask for a continuance to have guidelines and criteria adopted, have those studies done, and really understand what's coming here. And then, if you are moving forward with it, I think, due process requires stating, who the beneficiary is, who the applicant is, what actually is going in the paper, so the citizens can come and discuss if needed. Any questions for me? All right, thank you.
Thanks, sir.
I am pro Menard City and County. I'd like to see us grow, but I'd like to see this growth well considered, thought out. I believe our action today is premature. I think that the citizens and the taxpayers would like very much to become a little bit better educated as to what the impact of this action you're contemplating today will be. I personally stand against tax abatements in this particular instance for a for-profit enterprise that in this courtroom a couple months ago, the proponent stated they want to build it so they can turn right around and sell it. If that occurs, what impact will this action have on a continuation of an abatement or a changing of an abatement? You're taking the right steps, but I think we're trying to go a little bit too quick. A continuance and an educational process for you, the commissioners, and we, the citizens, would serve us all quite well, better than a premature action today. Thank you, sir.
Delegate that I am, that this is not good for Menard County. And if we need more money, you can obviously just raise the tax rate a little bit. Thank you.
I talked to a water well driller, an old friend of mine that's drilled water wells in Menard County for 40 years. And I told him about this best plan. The first words out of his mouth is, why in the world do you want to build it where you're going to mess the groundwater up? He said, I can pick you a location where there's no groundwater, where there's no drainage into the river. He said that you can put this best plan in. Now I know you want to be close to the same money, but it don't make sense to me to take a chance on messing the water up when you can put it somewhere else in the county, and it was a lot of safety features would be answered. So I know Menard needs money. I know we all need money, but if you put one in, it catches on fire, and you gotta evacuate everybody in town, who's gonna pay for it? How are we gonna get the people out of the nursing home in time? There's some safety issues that I haven't seen anything or anybody talk about how we're gonna get all the people out of the nursing home. And yes, it will affect the nursing home because it's 1 to 3 miles from the location, depending on the wind. Ask the people at the Moss plant in California. They're still finding issues like 10 miles away from it. So, let's don't put our people in the nursing home and people in my motel and all the neighbors. I have family that lives maybe 3,000 feet from where they're gonna put it. I don't wanna put them in danger, Anyway, thank you for your time.
The zone. But there's no guidelines in place. Texas law requires, and Mr. Sutherland's correct, that there has to be guidelines in place. And there have been in the past in Menard County, but they've all sunsetted, they've all expired. So that's what the commissioners will decide today, whether or not there are guidelines. And then after that, it's a matter of, is there gonna be a reinvestment zone? There's gonna be no action taken today at all regarding whether or not to grant abatement or not grant an abatement. This is just a procedural process that the counties and counties all across, all 254 counties, have to go through just to start a process to figure out whether or not the county will consider or grant a tax abatement or not. So I just kind of want to clarify, there's a few comments made, I'm happy to hear everybody's comments just to make sure everybody knows where the process is. So I just kind of maybe beat a dead horse here, reiterating the same thing.
Procedurally, I want to tag on to what Mr. Davis said. So we have copies here today of the guidelines and the reinvestment zone, and the application actually from the vendor. And any of this that is approved will be entered into public record. So then anybody who wants to, before action is taken, and we only meet once a month, would have at least a month should some kind of agreement be reached. But this is literally the jumping off point. These will be the first conversations that we have about what they're asking for and what we would require in order to even consider that. So, to Luke's point, this is procedural foundation so that we can explore it and find out if it is beneficial to the county to enter into an agreement, or if we deny it, move on.
To, as perhaps a premature step, this is the start of the educational process. Thank you so much for making this possible for all of us, so we can really understand not only what we're trying to do today, but what we are trying to accomplish for the good and for the benefit of our county and for our home. This is the first step in the educational process. Without this step today, unfounded rumors and fear would have continued to spread through our county. This is the first step for each and every one of us to pay attention and listen. Keep your personal fears to yourselves until you understand the threat. I applaud you and the commissioners for taking this step. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Wright.
You know, if there were an accident at that BES facility, what would happen to the people who are living in one of the poorest counties in the state? How are these people going to live somewhere else, in a hotel or wherever, without money? Or is the county gonna pony up the money to put people up for 3 weeks in Brady or Angelo or somewhere else? Just a thought.
To clarify on your comments earlier, Judge, have you started entering into negotiations with the BEST facility or their company yet? Or?
No, hard no.
Okay.
Not at all.
So what discussions, I guess, have occurred up to this point? Just generally speaking.
Generally speaking, coordination of their presentation in October, and that's all I recall.
And this is public comment, Mr. Sutherland, I'm sure you're aware, it's not a two-way dialogue here. If you and I wanna have a conversation afterwards.
No,
Yeah,
for sure.
Okay?
Yeah, I was just trying to clarify.
Yeah.
3 years before this set would expire? Was it 2 years? Any questions on those guidelines, gentlemen? Do I have a motion? Motion by Commissioner Cunningham, second by Commissioner Davis. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye. I recuse.
One recusal. Any opposed? That motion carries. All right, item number 4. This is also in your binder, and we also have copies for the public if anybody wants to see what was submitted by the Black and Gold Project. Commissioners, you were given this information ahead of time. Did anyone have any questions on this application? Mr. Letterly?
And I just want to clarify one thing, to the extent there's anything in their application, that's a request. By approving the application, it doesn't mean that's what they're going to get.
Gotcha.
So to the extent they've requested any percentage of abatement or any specific thing in there, I don't recall offhand, that's all part of a future negotiation. By approving it, none of that's binding on the county.
And that, my interpretation is that's an opening negotiation position.
It is.
Okay, just want to make sure I understood.
So I need to understand something.
Ma'am, public comment has closed. We will not be taking any further comment from the public at this time. Commissioners, is there any further questions or discussion on this item? Do I have a motion? Motion by Commissioner Keith, Second by Commissioner Davis. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any recusals? Recusal by Commissioner Wright. Any opposed? And that motion carries. All right, item number 5 is to discuss and consider an order establishing a reinvestment zone for the known, to be known as Menard County Reinvestment Zone 2026-1. This is to establish the zone in the map for us to discuss its future possible negotiated reinvestment zone. Any questions on that item? Do I have a motion on number 5? Motion. I have a Commissioner Davis and Commissioner Cunningham, first and second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any recusals? Recusal by Commissioner Wright. Any opposed? And that motion carries. Item 6, monthly report from Menard County Road and Bridge.
I'm wondering if we could possibly, if you guys could contact TxDOT, maybe it's already happened, for like a traffic study with the hope of getting like one of those radar speed deals that people, you know, when you drive through and it says you're going 90 miles an hour through town.
I don't mind speaking to this. We've actually applied for grants to gain some of those things. Those are actually license plate readers. And so when there are bad guys moving through the state, they can put a code in and they can find them. And it's been a big success in helping stop people with the border crisis from going down and carrying basically human trafficking victims up to the
But you also keep in mind that there's a lot of traffic that moves up and down 864 through Fort McCabe that would probably benefit from license plate reader.
Yes, sir, absolutely.